Welcome to the Mindful Garden. It's a beautiful day. Sun's been shining all day. Things are nice. Things are pleasant, even though there's some distressing news out there. But things will be okay. In the long run, things will always turn out. Mother Nature always has our back in one way, shape, or form. As always, let's start out with centering ourselves and bringing ourselves together in consciousness and into our heart space. 3 deep breaths, and in that time you can imagine yourself in what I like to call the cosmic shoreline. Space where you're just sitting in the void of the universe, and there's nothingness all about you, and the only thing that there is to keep you company is the voice inside your head. And your imagination is your only key to freedom. And we center ourselves and we get into our heart space so we can communicate better. It's always nice to be able to communicate openly and from the heart, because then it means that you're opening a connection that people can actually grab onto without having prior knowledge of the topic that you are talking about. You can draw people into your reality by opening up your heart space. But anyway, today's topic is the long view. And what am I talking about in the long view? There are many things I'm talking about. In many religions and any cultures, they have what they call 7 generations thinking. In Christianity, it was a good Christian provides for their children's children. And those ideas are to build up in you the responsibility of your actions and how our collective actions build together to support each other over time and over millennia if we work together. And that is how we build ourselves a strong empire of a unified humanity under Earth. Because the soil that we walk upon is the most important thing. And if we provide for the soil will provide for us. If we provide for our children, the children will provide for us. Right now, in our current thinking, because we have isolated ourselves, we make it so that we have to provide for ourselves in retirement. So we save up a bunch of coins for retirement, and we save it up so that we can spend our way through retirement using coins. Now, instead, if we took those coins and invested them in our youth so that our youth are strong, vibrant, and respectful of 7 generations thinking. So that means that they respect the older generation for what they have given them and will support them into retirement so that we no longer have to save for retirement. We invest in our youth. We give them free education. We give them everything at their disposal so that they can choose their dreams, and we will have a transformation of our society. If we invest in our youth the way we invest in our retirement, we will actually create a 10-fold increase in our profitability. Why? Because if we are given a strong footing to begin with, we can provide for those around us. If I was a stronger youth when I was young, I could have provided for a larger family with harder work if I was doing loving things. And if I was in my niche, I could have provided better. And those niches need to be taught to each child, because each child is born to a niche that they are born into for our society. Now, we need to invest in our children and explore our children's creativity and talents so that we can have them utilize those talents to their best ability and provide for all of us. One good gardener can feed many people, and with a little bit of help, that one garden can provide so that many people can have a very relaxed life, including that one talented gardener. If many people work with that one gardener under their direction, then we can have a community garden that provides for many mouths, and one person is at the heart of it, and that knowledge be spread amongst every person that they touch and teach along the way. So they invest in youth, and we have other retired people who can just be knowledge and library for youth. And if we encourage our youth to visit our elders in old folks' home and stuff, especially once this COVID all goes under the way, but we could do it digitally. We could do it just as I am doing right now through video chat, and we could have it so our youth listen to the stories of our elders to glean information for their own use. And our collective building needs to be in that investment in our youth, to invest in the respect of our elders. And that comes with time and energy. If we invest in our youth, they will return that respect. They will not be spoiled if we teach them to respect the gifts that we are giving them. And it takes time, energy, and effort. And that is the point I am trying to make, is that by investing in our youth instead of investing in our retirement, we will create a more vibrant community. And especially now that we have an aging population in most of the world, we have to invest in a population of youth that can provide for a larger community with a little amount of work, because I don't feel comfortable forcing people to be a slave for me. I do not like that idea. And as much as that idea is sold and pushed upon us, if we really get down to our core, we do not feel whole if we don't have a contribution to make, even if that contribution is just a thank you and poop in the system. But as long as we are grateful and work within the system, we can be part of the system, and we can flow and educate ourselves. And I'm starting to lose my train of thought. I'm sorry. But anyway, so where do we bring this long view in? Like, by investing in our youth and creating a more respectful environment, we are investing in the future and pushing for a future instead of fearing death. We go through our lives saving and worrying about retirement in most North American culture, to be frank. If you go to India, they think a little bit differently, which is a good cultural experience for many of us, I would say. But anyway, we can invest in our youth, invest in our soil, invest in our earth, and make a collective contribution that builds up over time. And we do that with really well-grounded scientific research. And if we remove the profiteering out of research as it is now, and really start to invest in youth and research and into future technologies and proper ways to raise food and so forth, which is being done because regenerative agriculture is blossoming. And if you look into permaculture and regenerative agriculture and grass-fed beef and the way it can lock away carbon and help regenerate soils and provide for future generations by being mindful of the actions we take, it's a way that we can step forward and work to a more prosperous way of living. If we invest in the youth and we invest in the earth and we invest in the life instead of investing in death and retirement, like if you think about it, we're locking away money that we invest into companies to make us more money, to get us retirements that, for the most part, a large portion of the population don't live to see. And then that money gets given to their kids, but again taken out of the retirement savings, broken up and taxed to death, and no one really gets to benefit from that retirement savings. So if we said, instead of saving for retirement, started to build trust funds for our youth, that we each pass down in our generations to our youth, and pass down over generations, that pay them an income to educate themselves, find their passions, and find a way to be productive and useful in the society, that sings to their heart. And if we invest in our youth by giving them that and teaching them the respect of that investment, they will invest back in us tenfold, I would say. Just because over time, through good education, we can actually do what the natives used to do and teach the youth respect for the environment and the regenerative cycle and the building of our ancestry over time. And if we do that and build our collective history and respect our collective history and teach our youth to respect their collective history, instead of trying to sever our history the way we do now to make them good robots and buy lots of things, which is an unfortunate propaganda tool that needs to change, but we can work on that in other videos. We need to take the long view. We need to think 7 generations thinking. Look up 7 generations thinking. I can't express that enough to people. To look over, instead of always hiding behind the fear of death, we can invest in our youth so that we can see our immortal cup in our youth. Our eternity is born within our youth. So if we respect our youth and get it so that we can teach and get them to respect the ancestry that we give them through investing in them. Like I say, instead of investing, imagine all the time you save up $1 million in retirement money. And instead of taking that retirement money and dividing it up when you die amongst all your children and chopping it up into bits, you take that retirement sum and turn it into a trust fund for one youth. And then that one trust fund builds and pays for one youth. So then another person does the same thing, and we build that up over another generation, and that same trust fund builds in one youth. And we build these trust funds to invest in things that are good and can communicate. And I don't know how to put this well, but like through investment in investing doubly to have positive impact. Does that make sense? It kind of makes sense. But anyway, we need to invest in youth. Cuba did it through their revolution and made it so that they have a medical system that provides medical help really well for a economy that is struggling in a island environment, which is something we can learn from. We have the resources about us if we use them collectively and build upon those resources as the turtle does, and build a shell that builds over time. We can build ourselves a collective investment that builds wealth and prosperity over time, I think. But anyway, 7 generations thinking, invest in our youth, and we need to think about really investing in education and making education free for all youth, so that the youth that have the ability can prosper the most. So, like, there could be someone who has incredible music talent that can create great music that is held back because of their lack of education and lack of opportunities. And if we give them those opportunities, we as a society will blossom bigger if we give and invest in our youth. So we just really need to invest in our youth. And I think we really need to think in the long view. And instead of this short-sighted looking for myself, we need to look for how we provide for ourselves over a longer period of time instead of just looking to provide for myself for retirement's sake. But anyway, those are just some ramblings on the long view today. That's long enough for today. Thank you for those who joined me. I am hoping that we can wake up and start to see the world in a better light and approach and apply the great technologies that I see that can transform this world into a better place. So let's close out with a little bit of a prayer to Mother Earth. May every heartbeat be for Mother Earth. May every footstep be a beat on her heart's drum. And may every breath purify us together. May healing come to all through her. And it will if we respect and regenerate her soils. You guys have a good night. Good day.